All right, have a look at Mac Jones in Cabo, I believe.
Oh boy. Come on, Mac. Let's see this, baby. Hit the wall behind him.
Got it. You know, the good news with Mac Jones, he's likely staying with the 49ers. That is the latest. Now, for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem that the market that many expected, that I expected for Mac Jones is there. And that's good news for the 49ers, I think, because I think they want to be as good as possible in the 2026 season. And if nobody is willing to offer the farm for Mac Jones, maybe the Minnesota Vikings, then the 49ers are going to continue to have the very best quarterback room in the NFL. And you can ensure that the 49ers keep the very best quarterback room in the NFL with the roster builder that is out today up on the San Francisco Standard. We can go through all of these free agency decisions. We can go through the trade decisions. We can build the very best 2026 49ers roster possible. Look at that beautiful graphic that they built up on the San Francisco Standard. The way this works is the link is in the description. You guys can build your roster with me. This is your chance to win something, by the way. Once you build your roster on the spreadsheet, you're going to take a screenshot and you could send it to me on X at Lombardi himself. And yes, there's going to be a prize. There might be multiple prizes for the best roster, and we could even feature some of the best rosters up here on the channel. Today, by the way, is the franchise tag deadline. That is happening at, I believe, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Mike, you can correct me if that is wrong. Maybe it's 4 o'clock Eastern time, but I think it's at 1 o'clock Eastern time. It's the final chance for teams to place a franchise tag on a player. 3 franchise tags so far. The latest is Breece Hall of the New York Jets, George Pickens of the Cowboys, and Kyle Pitts of the Falcons also receiving the tag. I would say a very outside chance that Eddie Pinheiro gets the franchise tag for the 49ers, but not likely at all. Jeff Howe believes, and I believe it is too. I said this as soon as I saw the video in question of Mac Jones with the very, very accurate toss. The 49ers could demand a first-round pick for Mac Jones. The 49ers don't want a season to go to waste if Brock Purdy goes down again. Since Jones was a major reason they stayed afloat in 2025, they could rightfully be stubborn and hold out for a first-round pick. I think I've actually said that on this show at some point already. You know, I mean, it's time to go into the quarterback room right now. Mac Jones, Brock Purdy. I wrote this article on February 28th, so it came out on the Standard a few days ago. Here's your side-by-side comparison. Purdy obviously better than Mac Jones, but these are good numbers for Mac Jones. To give a little bit more context, I mean, this XY chart, and maybe we can make this bigger on the screen for you guys. I think that this really puts things into visual perspective in that 49ers quarterback room. It's the chart where you want to be further to the right and further up. Well, here's the whole cluster of quarterbacks. I mean, you could go down to the very bottom here, and you could see Joe Flacco and Cam Ward revealed there by the lower third when it disappears. These aren't good quarterbacks. You move further to the right and further up, and I've got Mac Jones and Brock Purdy circled. This was the best quarterback room in the NFL last year. In fact, if you rank this by QBR, Brock Purdy was number 2 in the league. Drake May was number 1 last season, and Mac Jones was number 9. The 49ers QB2 ranked in the top 10. You know, let that sink in for a bit. Purdy, obviously, very good. He's been the best, most efficient NFL quarterback since 2022. Josh Allen, Jordan Love, Mahomes, Goff, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott behind him. But Mac Jones has been special for the 49ers, and there are a lot of reasons to keep him around. And yeah, maybe you even hold out for a first-round pick. And if teams are dumb enough to think that Kyler Murray is better than Mac Jones, then let them do that, right? I think the benefit of somebody like Murray is that he is still owed a lot of guaranteed money for the Arizona Cardinals. So if they do let him go as expected, he'll play for the league minimum for his next team. So maybe a team will see some value in that. But I mean, you either have somebody who's a good distributor of the football, good under pressure, or not. And, the play for guys like that will be available, even if it is at the league minimum, it has been so volatile over the course of their entire careers. And, Kyler Murray is, I don't think, ever been a top 10 QBR guy. I think he's flirted between 10 and 15 his entire career. The fact that Jones was able to come and register number 9 without weapons for the 49ers last year. I mean, I get it. He's got Kyle Shanahan, but there are a lot of good play callers around this league, and quarterbacks aren't just waking up fresh out of bed delivering a number 9 QBR without weapons. Like, the 49ers were down to a skeleton crew against the Rams. Anyway, a good reason for the 49ers to hold on to a very expensive trade price for Mac Jones and to keep him around. Let's get back to the roster builder. So this is the way that it works. You scroll down. Obviously, they made the cool graphic here, animated by Kyle Victory. And then you could see the build your own roster. What you're going to do is you hit create a copy, and then you're going to hit make a copy. And that's going to open up the roster builder itself. And then you could start making different moves. So when we talk about Mac Jones, well, you can trade him if that's what you want to do. I could zoom in right here. I give you the option to trade him. If you do, then his cap hit lowers from what they're scheduled to pay him to just the dead money hit of $1.79 million. So it tells you exactly what to do. Put it down to 1.79 and check the box, and you could see that opens up a roster spot. But we're not going to trade Mac Jones. We're going to keep him. You've got $49.1 million of cap space to work with, and you have 36 of 53 roster spots taken. Now, say that you sign Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP. Well, it's going to cost you $14 million, and all of a sudden you only have $35 million in cap space, and you've added a player. At wide receiver, what if the 49ers sign Mike Evans? All right, all of a sudden now we're down to $20 million in cap space, and my challenge to you is to keep this at over $20 million in salary cap space so the 49ers can carry enough over. You can see how this could quickly become a situation where you run out of space if you're the 49ers, right? Now you can restructure Nick Bosa. That's going to open up some more space. All right, we're back to $36 million up here. You have the potential satisfaction of cutting Brandon Ayuk. The 49ers cut Brandon Ayuk. I could zoom in on it so you could see this a little bit more closely. His cap hit's going to lower from $14.6 million down to $8.4 million. That's the dead money that they would shoulder with a post-June 1st designation. So all of a sudden, the 49ers would have $43 million in space. You check the box to cut Ayuk, and maybe you use the 49ers first-round draft pick on a wide receiver. So you can see that would cost only $3.5 million. And we can write the receiver that they used their first-round draft pick on, Casey Concepcion out of Texas A&M. You write all your draft picks down here, but it's a mock draft with the 49ers picks. They've got 7 of them right now, a first-rounder, a second-rounder, third-rounder, 3/4, and a 5th. Obviously, the comp pick formula working for the 49ers. For the last 3 of those picks, even the 5 is a comp pick. They're expected to get 2 4th-rounders and a 5th-rounder in the compensatory formula. All right, let's build the rest of the team. I'm just kind of spitballing here. I don't know about Kenneth Walker. I think that Kenneth Gainwell would fit better, so that will save some money. He's $5 million. I think the 49ers will cut Luke Farrell, so we'll have Farrell cut, and they'll sign a tight end. I'm going to bring in Charlie Kolar. That is the former teammate of Brock Purdy from Iowa State. He's going to cost about $8 million. So right now I'm looking at $42 million. I got to keep it above 20. I brought in Mike Evans. I've cut Brandon Ayuk. I used the first-round pick on a wide receiver. Then the 49ers need a left guard. We're going to bring in Dylan Parham for $8 million at left guard. I'm going to go ahead and give Trent Williams an extension. I know that I talked about the potential trade yesterday, but I think the most likely option is that extension that could lower the cap hit to $24 million. So all of a sudden, we're still working with a lot of space here. But as you could see, if you start making some big-time signings on the defensive side of the ball, that's going to eat into the space, especially if you need to keep it above $20 million very, very quickly. Maybe we bring in Joey Bosa. What if they brought in both Joey Bosa and John Franklin Myers at one of the defensive tackle positions? Boom. All of a sudden, all right, yeah, now we don't have much more space because we have to keep it above 20. That's the rule. Keep above 20 million for carryover. What that is going to do is that's going to allow you to pay guys in subsequent seasons. And we still have 12 spots to fill, 41 of 53 spots taken. You know, somebody sent me a roster a little bit earlier, and they had Caden Ellis, the former Raheem Morris linebacker from Kansas City, paired with Fred Warner. I love the idea under Raheem Morris, but all of a sudden, you know, we're basically out of cap space with 10 spots left to fill. You know, I talked about the 49ers maybe signing a veteran safety like Andre Sisco. And of course, they've got to sign Eddie Pinheiro. You're going to see here, I'm signing Pinheiro, I'm signing Morstead, and I've got 8 spots left to fill, and I only have 10 million in cap space. That's not going to be enough to carry over for next season. So I'm going to have to go back and, you know, maybe replace Kenny Gainwell with a cheaper draft pick. Let's use a 3rd round pick on a running back right now. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to use the 3rd round pick on a running back. We can use a 6th round, or no, we don't have a 6th round pick. We can use a 5th round pick on a running back, and we can hope that Jordan James does the job for the team that I am assembling right now. So yeah, I mean, you get the idea. You build the team the way that you see fit. But I want you to have this at over $20 million in salary cap space by the time it's over, so that it's realistic, so you can carry that room over to the future season. Now, Mike has put the description or the link into the description for this. I'm going to go ahead and toss it into the comment section. And I don't know if you can click this on the screen, but you can click it out of the chat section and you can go check it out. That is how you build your roster. Again, tweet it at me. Tweet your finished rosters at me at Lombardi himself, or I guess it's X. Send rosters to at Lombardi himself on X, and that's how you can win, and that's how you can get recognized on this show. Right there. Those are the instructions down at the bottom. So today is franchise tag day in the NFL. I'm going to go into the comment section right now and see what everybody's saying about the roster that I was just working on. And, you know, we got people talking about Bradley Chubb and Trey Hendrickson to build a deadly pass rush. We got people talking about trying to extend Trent Williams. Rasheed Walker, if you did what I talked about yesterday, like my idea, and I think a lot of people said they thought it was a good idea, but that would involve, you know, this is interesting, by the way. If you do trade Trent Williams, you incur a lot of dead money, but the 49ers don't necessarily care about incurring the dead money this year because they're going to have to pay that money at some point anyway, and salary cap space is connected from season to season. But if you sign Rasheed Walker, you actually save more long-term room. It's going to be about $20 million a year. That's our estimate. So it'd be cheaper than Trent Williams this year, but Williams would count more against the cap this year, but it would free up space for future seasons because all of the money that you've paid Trent Williams on a signing bonus, an option bonus in the past that is prorated in the future would hit now. You would take the cap hit now, and you might have room to do it now. Now, if you sign a bunch of guys, you might not have room to do it now. Look, I'm in negative salary cap space all of a sudden. So I'm going to have to make other moves. But last year, for example, the 49ers traded Deebo Samuel. They absorbed all of the future salary cap hit then. They had enough room, and then they just moved on to the next season. You're going to pay the dead money at some point. People act like dead money is this toxic thing. It really isn't, especially if you create it intentionally, which the 49ers do, because they spread salary cap hits out into the future on purpose to have more room now. And the more room now allows them to absorb some of this if they trade a player and it all accelerates the hit now. It allows them to absorb it all as one lump sum in the immediate term. So if they did, for whatever reason, move on for Trent Williams this offseason through a trade and we're able to get a replacement, yes, the dead money would hit now. There would be a lot of it, but it wouldn't be as scary as some people try to make it out to be, because teams like the 49ers and teams like the Eagles have been operating intentionally with dead money by design, by pushing salary cap hits out into the future. And then, when they do that, then they have essentially acknowledged that those salary cap hits will accelerate the hit in the now whenever a player's time with the team is done. All right, moving over into some more comments here. Let's have a good 49ers discussion. Kenneth Walker III is not going to be franchise tagged. So the Seahawks have decided that the Super Bowl MVP, if they can't reach an extension with him by next week, is going to be hitting the open market. Sounds like the New York Giants are going to go after the guy they call Canine, who was such a good runner in the Super Bowl. For the running back position, I really believe, and Walker was a good receiver for the Seahawks last year, but I think that the 49ers, if they go veteran, I really like Kenny Gainwell. He was about 500 last year, receiving and rushing yardage. The one thing that the 49ers have been missing in that backfield, and this has led to the consternation about Christian McCaffrey's playing time, has been they haven't had a good receiving complement for Christian. The craziest stat last year is that 2 of the 3 worst running backs in the league in terms of yards per route run, so in terms of receiving efficiency out of the backfield, were Brian Robinson Jr. and Jordan Mason, the ex-49er. So much that stat makes sense, right? That's why Christian McCaffrey had 413 touches, a career high, because they didn't trust taking him off the field when it came to the structure of the 49ers pass game and the trust from the quarterback in the outlet receiver coming out of the backfield. And, by extension, that's why they traded Jordan Mason the year before. They're trying to upgrade the receiving option, and I think it's time to upgrade the receiving option secondary to Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. And you might be able to do that with somebody like Kenneth Gainwell, who is set to hit free agency. Steelers want to keep him. I think Gainwell wants to try free agency. We got a nice little cappuccino here. Most days I just go straight black coffee. Today I'm chilling though because the roster builder came out, worked hard on it, excited to see your rosters. And so today I got a cappuccino. It's good. It's solid. So yards per route run is not a volume stat. Yards per route run's an average stat. So when Robinson was in there, they didn't throw to him. So for whatever reason, he wasn't a formidable staple of the 49ers passing attack, which explains why they didn't want to take Christian McCaffrey off the field. It's a trust thing for Kyle Shanahan. It's a trust thing for the quarterbacks. And I think it's high time for the 49ers to have a running back whom they trust in the receiving game, so that the workload for Christian McCaffrey can be reasonably reduced. All right, this is not true. The 49ers, you're saying the 49ers barely missed Trent Williams when he didn't play in those games? They missed him a lot when he didn't play. But listen, if they do something wild like what I talked about, like if it's Rasheed Walker coming in, some people ask me, well, why wouldn't the Texans just sign Rasheed Walker? Because you would actually downgrade at left tackle in the near term if you're the 49ers. Do not disrespect Trent Williams. He is an all-time great. He's still playing at an extremely high level. What would happen if the 49ers did something like swap Trent Williams to the Texans, get draft capital in return, save some money, get a younger left tackle and Rasheed Walker? They would get worse at left tackle, but they would open up money and they could potentially do something really crazy like go to that center position and sign Tyler Linderbaum. Now I'm getting wild, but a line of Rasheed Walker, Dylan Parham, or whoever you bring in for left guard, Tyler Linderbaum, Dominic Purdy, and Colton McKivitz left to right would be better than an offensive line that the 49ers currently have with Trent Williams, Jake Brendel, Dominic Purdy, and Colton McKivitz moving left to right, even though Trent Williams is better than Rasheed Walker. But you would be thinking holistically. You'd be thinking about the future. The roster builder gives you a chance to do all of this stuff, right? You could say that it's a crazy idea. You can not subscribe to it. You can do your own thing. The team that I've currently built is $33 million over the cap, though, right? You can see right here, $33 million over the cap. So that's not good. I'm going to have to make some hard decisions. I can't have everything, as you can see. It's difficult to build within the context of the salary cap. But all of these are ideas, and all of them are happening within the framework of the 49ers likely keeping Mac Jones. I can report that to you. Mac Jones will very likely be a 49er in 2026 as their backup quarterback. And I think that this does make the team stronger. It certainly did in 2025. The 49ers needed a running back too. I'm not saying that Brian Robinson Jr. was a bad player. He ran the football well. I think he was probably a little bit better than Jordan Mason catching the ball out of the backfield. They threw a few screens to him, but they needed that running back too this past year to allow Jordan James to get his feet wet. They didn't really, I think, trust Isaac Guerendo. So Robinson made the team better. It's not like they spent a lot to trade for him, but I think it's time for the 49ers to push the chips in on having a truly dependable veteran receiving talent. And somebody like Kenneth Gainwell has proven that in this league. Why did they give Brendel back the starting center job? I mean, Brendel, I thought he was not as good in 2024. He started his 49ers career out well. I mean, when he took over for Alex Mack, he was definitely an above average center in 2022. He started to age and get the knee tendonitis, and the knee tendonitis really bothered him in 2024. He bounced back. He wasn't as bad as he was in 2024 last year. I thought Brendel was middle of the pack in 2025. I thought the bigger issue for the 49ers was at the guard spots because you had injuries to Barch. You had to have the rookie Connor Colby playing at left guard, and then it went to Spencer Burford. And then at right guard, you had the injury to Dominic Pooney in the preseason. I think that the interior in general needs to be healthier, and they've got questions to solve at that left guard position, personnel-wise. That's why at left guard, there are options here for the 49ers. Let's go down to left guard. Parham is the one that Mike and I are predicting. Isaac Siamalu's sister is on the 49ers scouting staff. She's in the scouting department. Should just keep that in mind. Zion Johnson, David Edwards, there's Parham, John Simpson, Joel Bitonio. I know that Dalton Reisner just re-signed with the Cincinnati Bengals, so we took him off the list. You can add a budget veteran, somebody like for $1.3 million, but Spencer Burford, I do not expect back in a 49ers uniform. Left guard is a big-time position of needed attention for the 49ers, though, this offseason. Brendel was not ranked. I mean, somebody might have ranked him that, but he wasn't the 31st center in the league. Jake Brendel it's somewhere in the middle of the pack. A lot of, when you look at all the pass blocking efficiency metrics and the run blocking grades, it's right in the middle of the pack. The thing about Brendel is that there is a very, very large cerebral component to what centers have to do in the Shanahan system. And apparently Jake is very, very good at that part of it. When we talked to John Feliciano, he said that I would not like to be Jake Brendel. He is in hell on every single snap, just having to deal with all the things. So center is not as easy as plug and play, especially in this system. You have to be able to handle things cerebrally as well as physically. It is most definitely not time to get Nick Bosa out of here. Come on, guys. Let's be realistic. Nick Bosa's got guaranteed money, like a lot of it still this season. We're only in year 3 post-extension. He was able to negotiate with his agent, Brian Ayroll, to a very, very strong deal for the player. And it included 3 years of full guarantees. Do I think Debo is coming back? I would think Debo's only coming back on a very team-friendly deal. I think that Mike Evans would be a good addition at $15 million a year max for the 49ers, like a Cooper Kupp deal. Whether or not Mike Evans would think that is a different story. Obviously, Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Naylor are two names that have been linked to the 49ers. Casey Concepcion is somebody who's been mocked to the 49ers in terms of the draft. In fact, on the roster builder here, I've got KC heading the 49ers way, number 27 out of Texas A&M. I think they need to make investments in the receiver room across the board. That means free agency and the draft. I think that they need their existing players like a Jacob Cowing and a Jordan Watkins to show up and make strides and actually deliver on the field in 2026. Whenever you rank poorly in separation and you weren't able to get open against the best defense in the league and in the Seattle Seahawks in 2 of the final 3 games of the season, a long, hard look has to be made at that position group. And I know that injuries created a lot of the problem. I know that Brandon Ayuk's disappearance created a lot of the problem for the 49ers last year. But still, I think help from the outside is going to be needed. And it won't necessarily have to all come through wide receiver. You can go out there and get another tight end that will help spacing. You can go out there and get another running back that will help spacing. But the spacing has to be better in 2026, period. You've heard the 49ers connected to Chris Bell. Yeah, those have been some rumors lately. We'll see. The draft is still quite a far way away. Let's focus first on free agency, and then we'll see where the holes are, and we'll see exactly who the prospects that might fit the 49ers are for the draft. What's the latest on Max Crosby? The Raiders want a lot. Nobody's willing to pay the price that the Raiders are asking. It might come down this week ahead of free agency. And the 49ers are in the mix. That's all I can really say at this point regarding Max Crosby. Yes, this is a good question. Do I see an advantage for the 49ers to run 13 personnel more frequently? Tight ends are cheaper than wide receivers, and tight ends are generally more effective on the field in both the run and the pass game. That's that question. That thought is why, I picked Charlie Kolar and might even want to draft a tight end. And there are a lot of tight ends available. Look at this list of tight ends available. Tonjes, obviously the restricted free agent. I would tender him. How about what if you tendered Tonjes or re-signed him, just kept him around, got Kolar, the best blocking tight end on this list, and then obviously cut Luke Farrell, but then you'd have 3 tight ends, especially when George Kittle came back. Kittle, Kolar, Tonjes, ran them out on the field at the same time, ran a lot of heavy tight end personnel, and you have the cost efficiency advantage because they are cheaper than receivers. And also, you didn't run the ball nearly as effectively over the past 2 seasons as you had when you were in a prime mode for the 49ers. And a lot of it was because your blocking wasn't as good outside of the offensive line. Like your receiver blocking wasn't as good. Your tight end blocking when George Kittle was out wasn't as good. Luke Farrell, I don't think just did the job that the 49ers thought he would do when they decided to sign him in free agency. I thought that they believed he would adapt to San Francisco's scheme with a little bit more success. And, maybe it will take some more time. Maybe they'll keep Farrell around and he's going to have a better year too. I don't know. But the investing heavily in tight end is a definitely viable option in my mind for the 49ers moving forward. We saw the Rams do a ton of it, and it helped them a lot this year. I think that's why they had so much success offensively, especially relatively speaking, against the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle had trouble with the tight ends. I mean, we could go all the way back to week 1. The winning touchdown for the 49ers, the only 2 touchdowns scored in the week 1 victory over the Seattle Seahawks came from tight ends. George Kittle on the first drive, 14-play, 95-yard march. Jake Tonjes at the end over Reek Woolen. Somebody's rumored to go to or be a person of interest, a cornerback of interest in free agency for the 49ers, but it was tight end that beat the Seahawks. When the Rams moved the ball very, very liberally against Seattle this year, they were running a lot of 3 tight end stuff. I would be a firm advocate in investing heavily in the tight end position if you are the San Francisco 49ers, because everything was set up for Matthew Stafford this past year. He had 2 excellent receivers. He had probably the best receiver in the game in Puka Nacua. He had Devontae Adams on top of Puka Nacua. He had 3 tight ends. He had a top 5 offensive line. He had a top 5 running game. For most of the season, he had a top 5 defense. What the Rams didn't have was a good special teams unit, and it ended up costing them this season. But they were like a poor man's version of the 2023 49ers, who also were sunk by special teams. That wasn't very good. But they had a better tight end room than those 49ers, and the league is evolving in that way. So I would recommend that the 49ers do make that investment. It's a copycat league. Yes, sir, Mr. Art. It is a copycat league. Yes, the 49ers can get a compensatory pick for Mac Jones. Keep him for one more year. I think this is what I'm saying. It's the most likely scenario for the 49ers. Keep him for one more year. Get a comp pick because, if he plays a little bit more this year, the value can go even higher up. If Mac Jones gets to play this year, say that Purdy's out for a game or two, the 49ers should have a healthier, knock on wood, and better stocked offense. He's not going to be playing with a skeleton crew, I would hope. And he could be even better than he was. And he was really good in 2025. And then finally, I think once the Kyler Murray experiments fizzle out around the league, and, there's other quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins and other guys bouncing around. But once those experiments fizzle out, and Mac has had 2 excellent seasons with the 49ers, he could sign somewhere for considerable money, and the 49ers will get a comp pick. They just have to wait a little bit longer. But if somebody's not sending a 1 your way for a top 10 QBR guy who went 5-3 as a starter last year, there may not be real incentive for the 49ers to move off of Mac Jones' contract. 49ers need a good backup. I think any team needs a good backup. Rams have a good QB room. They've got Jimmy Garoppolo backing up Matthew Stafford. All right, let's get some good questions in there. I hope everybody is checking out the roster builder. Those of you just joining, it is out. It is up on the San Francisco Standard, and it looks like this. Really cool graphic that they were able to put up there. And yeah, when it comes to Mac Jones,
Oh boy. Come on, Mac. Let's see this, baby. Hit the wall behind him.
there's definitely that. Awesome stuff. I saw that and it's like, yep, up the price to 100%. There's the roster builder that you guys can go ahead and check out right now. Mac Jones is a total vibe. Yes. I would keep Mac if it were up to me. Yeah. I want to build, if I'm building, and it can be up to me with the roster builder right here. I'm keeping Mac Jones. And it can be up to you too. Just go and check out the roster builder. The link is in the description of this video. But if it were up to me, I 100% would keep Mac Jones because I want to build as good of a team as possible in 2026. And QB2 is a valuable position in that effort. Got people wanting Dre Greenlaw to come back home if he is released. That's a possibility in the roster builder. Well, it will be if he's released. It won't be unless he is cut loose by the Denver Broncos. I am looking through. Come on, some more questions. Let's go. David, what do you think the 49ers need to do in the first round of the draft? Best available or a certain need? Well, I can't answer that question until they get through free agency. If they have a massive glaring need once they're done with free agency, then my answer is going to be very different than if they don't. The general kind of philosophy that we've seen from NFL teams over the years has been to make sure that you don't enter the draft with a glaring need, because then it gives you the ability to pick the best players available. And that generally will help, because the draft is a crapshoot. The draft is not one of those things where you could just point at a guy, know he's going to be good, and know that a certain hole is going to be filled. Free agency, I think with a decent amount of confidence, you could do that because these are veteran players. You have NFL tape, you have an NFL track record. The draft, I mean, it's a projection to the league. So fill your most glaring needs now and then turn to the draft for the upside and the future. This is a great question, and thank you. Big time super chat. Love it. Thank you for all the content. Longtime viewer. I believe your name is Chris. Yeah, thank you, Chris. David, is it possible to sometimes write up as a primer on the meaning of the advanced stats? This is a great suggestion and question. EPA per play, DVOA, yards per route run, and how to read, interpret them in more detail. Thank you. Absolutely. And thank you for the super chat. That is awesome. That's going to help me eat. You know, we have to buy a new car today. This is going to help toward that too. No, seriously, we're headed to, we're going to go get a new car today. But yeah, so let's talk here a little bit. EPA per play, DVOA, yards per route run. Let's start with EPA per play and DVOA, because those are going to be two, we're you know, team-wide efficiency stats that can also be applied to quarterbacks, obviously, if you do EPA per drop back. But those two are going to be correlated. What EPA and DVOA do is they look at efficiency on a per snap basis, and they're not just calculating yards. They're not just calculating touchdown passes. They are looking to see, okay, it's 2nd and 7. If you picked up 8 yards on 2nd and 7, that is going to be much more valuable than picking up 8 yards on 3rd and 15. Because 8 yards on 3rd and 15 is leading to a punt. 8 yards on 2nd and 7 is leading to a new set of downs. So they're calculating down and distance. They're calculating field position, these stats. So obviously an interception at your own 5 is a little bit more damaging, I would say, than an interception right around midfield. An interception getting close to the goal line is going to be damaging because it takes away expected points. So these stats formulaically capture what is happening on the football field. And they're designed to take the things that, you know, the casual viewer may not see, the small gain that keeps a team out of 3rd and long, for example, and that is incorporated in the stat. So Brock Purdy has led the league in EPA per play since he joined the league in 2022, because he has been a master of executing the small things at the quarterback position. People do not appreciate, I think, by and large, how good Brock Purdy has been, because everybody is just only looking at 6'5" height, 220 pounds, and then they're going to use that bias to look for a laser beam throw once every 3 weeks, and then they're going to crown the quarterback based on that throw. Now, Purdy's got plenty of arm strength. He's got excellent athleticism. But I think that the biggest contributions that he brings happen with these small things that he consistently gets right. A great example of this happened in week 5. Now, I'm not talking about Purdy. I'm talking about Matthew Stafford now, because people always wonder, well, why is Stafford not number 1 on the list? You know, I thought that the media crowned him the MVP and he should be number 1. And the stats don't agree. The performance of the Rams before this season, before they built an all-star team around Matthew Stafford, didn't agree. He was a good quarterback, but he won the top of the league. And why was this? Well, back in week 5, it was a great example. The media running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Oh, Stafford this, Stafford that. He threw for 400 yards, but he lost to Mac Jones and the 49ers. And all I saw after the game was Matthew Stafford throwing a 50-yard bomb, nice pass, to Tutu Atwell. What they didn't show was what happened after that. And remember that the Rams got stuffed on 4th down to end that game. Well, the play before that 4th down was like a 3rd and long, maybe a 3rd and 8. I don't remember exactly what it was. And Stafford threw underneath to Kyren Williams, his linebacker. And it was one of those backfield routes that if Stafford had thrown a short, accurate pass, Kyren Williams would have caught it and run after the catch and picked up the 1st down in stride, and the Rams would have had a chance to win the game because they were down by 3. The 49ers had kicked the field goal to begin overtime. Instead, Stafford threw the ball behind Kyren Williams. It was inaccurate. It was still a catch, but Kyren Williams had to slide down to catch the ball that was thrown behind him, and he slid down a few inches short of the first down marker. We all know what happened next. The 49ers stuffed the run, and they won the game. What the media did not talk about, everybody except for me, I mean, we were talking about it a lot on this channel, was that the reason the Rams had to go for the fourth down in the first place was because Stafford missed the gimme throw to Kyren Williams. It's a throw that Brock Purdy doesn't miss. It's a throw that Mac Jones didn't miss last year. It's a throw that will not hit the highlight reels. It's a throw that the casuals will not appreciate, but it's the type of throw that determines true success or failure at the quarterback position. You have to be able to hit those gimmies, and I don't think they're gimmies. I think gimme might be a false interpretation of the difficulty of such a throw, but if you cannot make those throws, it doesn't matter how many highlight reel throws you make, because you are not going to convert in the biggest moments in this league, which are often determined at the margins that people do not see. So that's a long explanation of why EPA is a much better stat than passing yardage, because EPA is going to determine, or it's going to reflect, if a quarterback is delivering at the margins or not, and not just delivering garbage yardage. That's right. Purdy is no Stafford. Purdy is a lot better than Stafford. I mean, you've got a Trey Lance jersey in your avatar, dude. I don't know if I could take you seriously. Unless you're saying it's a Bryce Lance jersey and the 49ers are going to draft him. But you're probably trying to tell us that Trey Lance was better than Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance was better than Brock Purdy as well. Purdy has been much better than Stafford. And the numbers, I mean, ever since joining the league in 2022, the performance and the numbers are very, very clear. And we judge people in this league on a meritocracy, what they actually do on the football field, instead of on these myopic ideas like, oh, arm strength or, career achievement numbers. We don't follow the media like sheep. We actually look at production on the field. And for that, if you put Stafford on the 49ers in 2025, they probably win 6 or 7 games. It's not pretty. He's not dealing with the lack of separation. He's not dealing with the pass rush that Purdy had to escape from time and time and time again. He's missing a lot of the gimme throws. He had an all-star team around him. There was a system quarterback in the NFC West this year, and it was Matthew Stafford. That was the system of all systems in LA, with Sean McVay, with Puka Nacua, with them. I could list over. I think that Sam Darnold was working with less offensively, obviously, than Matthew Stafford, and he won a Super Bowl. Now, of course, the Seahawks had an all-time good defense. Now, that's not saying that Stafford's a bad quarterback. He's just overrated as hell. And the NFC West was awesome this year. That was cool to see. And we're going to get to see all those competitors run it back in 2026. But Stafford, I don't know. I don't think the 49ers are going 500 if they had Matthew Stafford this past season with all those injuries. Media hype. Yep. I mean, I think that's why more people watch this channel than those other ones, is because we don't get into the media hype. A lot of casuals, but that's why we're here. That's why we're here. And then, you can also build your own team if you think you can do better. I mean, I give everybody a chance to do what they want, but you can build your own team. It's right up here on the screen. Go ahead and check it out. The roster builder is up. It is ready for you. The good news is the 49ers will likely keep Mac Jones. And if they don't, well, I think they're going to command a very, very high price for him. They can hold out for that first round pick. Why? Because they're better when Jones is on this roster. Let's finish up with the famous video, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Oh boy. Come on, Mac. Let's see this, baby. Hit the wall behind him.